headed to the Nürburgring because the Taycan came out with statistics suggesting it in some ways might be a better car than the top-of-the-line performance Model S. We also take a quick look at the miracle of Norway. There's some new information regarding whether or not it's really working out as had originally been described. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Thanks once again for joining us. If this is your first time on our channel, welcome. If you're a repeat visitor, welcome back. This show is for the folks who have what's called a need for speed. So usually our shows have maybe strong points or directions we're going in, but this is our first opportunity in a while to just go for the speed, even if one might consider it to be slightly illogical. So the interesting part, so basically what happened is that the Taycan was announced this week. The statistics that were allowed to be released by Porsche Audi in general were vague and really didn't get to the meat of what the car could do. And it seems strange that Porsche would come out with a vehicle that wasn't really competitive with anything that was in the warehouse of Tesla, which was the initial statistics put out there. So what's come out then is the fact that Elon Musk has decided to lay down a challenge for the folks at Porsche. I want to call them Porsche Audi, but they're basically one of the VW stables of companies. So where the challenge has been laid down is there's something called the Nurburgring is how everybody pronounce it, but if you look at it, it's Nurburing. It is a town in Germany with 150,000 seat, 14-mile racetrack. So basically, the Taycan set a record on that track, and Elon Musk, as a way to respond to the Porsche Audi challenge, has decided that he wants to send the Model S there to see if it can actually beat the number that was presented by Porsche's Taycan. And so there have been sort of rounds in this boxing match. The first round of this match was the fact that there was a note made as a tweet by the people who run the track to announce that there is no room for vehicles to be tested, and adding Tesla was not going to happen because all of the testing times are spoken for this season. And so the suggestion based on the late part of the week was that this little beatdown was not going to happen. So the interesting thing is that the next part of the development was a tweet that from the folks at Tesla indicating that indeed there is an already scheduled testing time that had been set up by Tesla with other manufacturers for that time in Germany on the track. So that was kind of an interesting response, because I was kind of surprised that the track didn't actually know who the folks were that were going to be driving on their track, when and why and what time, including Tesla especially. So now the plot thickens further, which is why we're kind of excited and wanted to get into the whole discussion. And that is that another round of the argument here is that it takes a really long time to both learn and be able to drive the Nürburgring. So there was a low likelihood that Tesla could deliver top quality times, because they simply didn't have the manpower with the experience to be able to take a car on that track and effectively run at high speeds, or the highest speeds, given that they just don't have the experience. And so that's when we got excited, because it was just announced tweet to tweet that Nico Rosberg, the former champion at F1, who currently has an e-racing team of his own, will be driving, has agreed to come on board and drive on Tesla's behalf on the Nurburing. I'm calling it the Nurburgring. I know I'm going to be corrected 10 times on my show because you guys are so technical, but I'll call it the Nurburgring. We know what it is, and you can correct my pronunciation if you would. So, with Nico Rosberg signing on, perhaps one of the best race car drivers in the last 30 years, I think this suggests then that Tesla has a way to definitely have track knowledge that it takes to deliver top quality times there. Um, the one thing that I would say that Tesla hasn't thought about in this whole situation is the fact that VW Audi is one of the biggest companies in the world. For quite a while, it was the largest auto manufacturer, and I wouldn't be surprised if they either own large amounts of track time at this space, and therefore can talk the company into doing things on their behalf when they want it. And so my suggestion then is that I believe that uh, yes, Elon has the time set up. Yes, the car is coming. Yes, he is one of the top race car drivers in the world that's going to come in on Tesla's behalf to get the most out of the car. The only fly in the ointment, I think, is that this is a German track you almost want to say it's partially owned by VW. So, not that they actually own it, but just because they actually are such an important entity within Germany. And I would think that the authorities will try to find a way not to embarrass such an important corporate citizen. So the plot will thicken. The Model S will run that track and turn in a time that we'll find out next week. And we'll be happy to cover that partially. But don't be surprised if the car is there, the driver is there, the time slot has been allocated, but VW comes up with a creative way to make sure this does not happen. Because if the numbers turned in significantly blow the doors off of the Taycan, you end up with a sort of an embarrassing situation for one of the biggest companies in the world as they try to enter the electric space. Another element of the plot twist back and forth is that there are different lines of the Taycan that'll be coming out, sort of a low, medium, and high range. The highest range of the Taycan is actually getting a title of the Turbo. And so, as you already know, what a turbo or even a supercharger does is takes exhaust fumes from a car and uses those exhaust fumes to spin air at a higher speed into the cylinders, allowing you to get more power from that. And so Elon actually pointed out to the folks at Porsche that the only problem with having the name a turbo for their top of the line model is that there is no exhaust gases and therefore there is no turbo. So it's an interesting use of a term as a way to articulate the top of the line. But one wonders then in the electric world what the new word for turbo might be that suggests superior performance. In the case of Tesla, ludicrous mode kind of comes to mind as something they may want to consider, but I think Tesla's already got the ludicrous plan already on lockdown. And so I guess that'll be an interesting point as well to see whether Mr. Rosberg elects to use the ludicrous capability of the Model S as he runs the track. So there's a famous movie from many years ago where there's a comment that says, "I have a need for speed." And so the general concept is that, I think this performance is all about demonstrating speed and capability of the Model S at the top end in a track setting, if you will, against another electric vehicle that is want to take the throne. Now that Tesla is sort of dominating all these famous cars when it comes to electric against cars, at the below 80 miles an hour, Tesla's running numbers that are superior to most of the supercars, And what defines you as a supercar, according to the folks at Lamborghini, is you have to be able to sustain 150 miles an hour, top speed of 200 miles an hour. And I think they threw in a couple of other little items there from the Lamborghini folks, and basically Tesla didn't qualify. So if you look at the specs on the new Roadster, all of them qualify for it to be defined as a supercar. And I think it's going to be exciting to see the Model S win this little, based on track time speed race. But I really think that the fascinating thing will be happen where if you put the rocket launch capabilities combined with all the other attributes of the brand new Roadster, I think this competition will sort of be over for a while, and the folks at Porsche Audi are going to have to go back to the drawing board. The other interesting question that I don't have an answer for, but I think is fascinating, is that the top of the line Porsche is running a 2.60 to 60, and it's coming in at it's a 2.60 to 60, and it's coming in at about $180,000. There are all these lists of add-ons that you can do that maybe trim the price a little bit or raise it, maybe to 200K. But the issue that pops up is that, a Model 3 performance running at, in the performance setup with the right tires is running a 3.2 second 0 to 60 time. And you can acquire one in the $60,000 range. So the question that comes up is that if you have a car that can run with you that 60K, why do consumers want to spend 180K for a car when they can perhaps save the dollars and have almost all the performance? And let's not even mention when we get into the Model S's and the fact there's a range of prices there. You can basically save $50,000 to $80,000 and outrun that Porsche with ease. So I thought this was kind of interesting to study. The final thing that we were kind of checking out with what's going on with the Taycan versus Tesla competition here is there are more details being revealed about the battery packs of that are being used by Audi. And the question was that's still lurking is we're 7 years into the existence of the Model S. And the question is, why is it that, yes, the Taycan's a great car, but it's also running a lot less range than the Tesla? And so the question that's popping up is, why is that the case? And we actually had a chance to review, I believe, a Jalopnik article that reviews the Audi data on their battery packs. And what it articulated is that there are certain risks that Tesla has taken. For example, if you drive the car very hard, the brake pads or the motors are not cooled or warmed in the same way. So that portion of what Audi Porsche is doing and some other small improved reliability of the battery moves reduces the actual range of the vehicle. So it's one of the arguments they're making for why, in essence, you have, they're arguing that they have a more reliable battery pack driven by concessions they've made on range, and therefore they have a superior product. But the problem is that, for example, on the e-tron, it's running 200 miles of range, whereas Tesla is going 370 miles on the longest. So it's an interesting sort of what's going on right now. We think it's kind of fun to see. Initially, it sounded like Elon wanted to challenge the car, even if it's not head-to-head performance, it's simply on the same track. And then there's kind of a response from the track, and then there's a response from Nico Rosberg to step in and be the test driver on the Tesla. So stay tuned. I think this little battle back and forth will get more intense. I think it's obvious that based on the folks at Porsche Audi describing their superiority simply being the number of times the car can launch from 0 to 60 being superior to Tesla's ability to do so. I heard this statistic and I was like, okay, it's nice if you're launching that many times as a routine, but I really want to be able to get in the car, get on the Autobahn and run at 130 miles an hour for an hour or two and enjoy the speed and power and performance of the car, etc. And the launch superiority that was described by Porsche in my mind, and didn't make much sense in terms of where there's huge value perceived by any customer. So, so at any rate, congratulations to the folks at Porsche for delivering a vehicle. It does supercharge in around the same time as Tesla, perhaps a little bit quicker. The next question that I'm asking about the Taycan, which we don't have the answer to yet, and it may end up in the hands of customers to find this out. But there's a famous line from a guy named DeLorean from DeLorean Cars, where after they delivered their vehicles, they had their test vehicles ready. It was suggested that he said to his head of production, I want 20 cars on the track 24 hours a day for the next 3 months. And so the response that came back was, well, we don't have that kind of money. How about one car running for 8 hours a day so we can see what happens? Mr. DeLorean had been at GM, and when they built cars, there was a certain ring out process that vehicles would get. And so based on the fact that we've been seeing a lot of images of the Taycan in different situations, one of them, what we're eager to see is if in fact you're thinking about buying that car, many of the richest countries in the world have a pretty decent sized winter. So it'll be interesting to see when that vehicle is put under winter conditions, what the range is, what the longevity of the battery is, and how the cars handle it. And so there's a lot of how does this car handle real live conditions versus the contrived. In this case, the car was delivered in Atlanta, in the United States, but it's being delivered in warm climates around the world right now in summer weather. And one of the deals that separates the men from the boys is when we have inclement weather, be it very, very hot temperatures or very cold temperatures, particularly below zero and heading south, that says whether or not that battery pack, is ready for prime time. As I stated in my earlier conversation about the Taycan, I'm also looking forward to price not being a concern for VW Audi, and they're able to drop this platform into a Lamborghini with another $100,000 to $200,000 to spend. What can they do with those extra resources to give some electric supercars an opportunity to show what they can really do? We've seen several hellos there. I want to thank all of you for doing so. This is a I Have a Need for Speed show. Our next show is actually going to be checking out some developments that are happening in Norway. There's something over there that the suggestion is that the EV miracle is somewhat of a farce, and we're looking forward to hearing more about this and being able to comment on that a little bit. I thought would be interesting. So again, just to repeat, as you finish up this show, I want you to repeat, if you own a Tesla or a fast car, I have a need for speed is the theme of the day, and it'll be fun to see how the numbers turn out as the Model S heads on to Nuremberg with a world-class driver behind the wheel who knows the track well. At any rate, we definitely look forward to your comments. Remember, 25 leg lifts a day, and make sure you go to bed after 4 hours of eating, preferably at least 2 to allow it to digest so you don't get acid indigestion issues. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Have a great day. Bye for now. Tschüss German, au revoir French, Lehitrot, Hebrew, Choda Hafez, Farsi. Wow. I was trying to catch one of the comments there on my way out from Noob. Au revoir. In Russian, Zdravstvuyte. In Chinese, Ni Hao Ma. Um, have a great day. Bye for now. Look forward to any and all of your comments. And may the speed be with you.